Welcome to the apex of sports ownership, the Apex Athletic Collective.
Welcome in, everyone, to episode 93 of Instigate Success, Building an ABA Franchise. Your host, as always, Jake Schoen, aka Jakey Muffins, back again with the original host, Frosty. How are you doing tonight, Frosty?
Man, I am pumped. It is a sports weekend. I'm super excited for it. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I don't follow it. I follow the mainstream sports everyone follows, but I also follow a bunch of other sports and leagues too. You know that as we talk, and like everything is going on this weekend. So I'm super excited, man. How you been?
Yeah, I'm good. I know you were talking about, non-mainstream sports. One that we talked about a couple weeks ago, the Papa Shot tournament just happened actually this past week in Chicago. I
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to catch it, but I saw they live streamed that event, so that's pretty cool.
No, that's crazy. That's the beautiful thing about streaming, as you and I know, and I think our fans know as well, is like everything gets exposure now that wants it and finds its niche audience. You're not beholden to, network executives that decide what sports are okay to watch and what ones aren't. So it's really cool that competitions like that get on live stream, and like with all the tools available now, they're actually pretty professionally done, honestly. So it's a lot of fun to watch that stuff. YouTube is like my number one sports watching network now.
Yeah, you can find just about anything on there. It's great too, like for old footage of sports. Like if you ever want to go back and watch like classic games, you can
Yeah.
find just about anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I've seen it popping up more and more, like a lot of sports channels doing like live stream marathons. Like the IndyCar series just recently did a live stream of past Indy 500s and stuff like that. Or like even if you're like a wrestling fan, WWE does the Royal Rumble. I've seen like IndyCar did like all kinds of other ones besides Indy 500. You see them all over the place. So it's kind of cool to it's kind of replaced ESPN Classic.
Yeah, yeah, for those who remember that.
Right.
But I mean, hey, we might as well push it on our end too. You know, the instigators, we don't we're in the off season right now, but if you guys ever want to go back and watch all of our games, they are uploaded on YouTube, so you can go back, watch season 1, season 2, even our Gold Cup games from last year as well.
Yeah, every Instigators game ever played is on there. So check it out and watch your favorite players and see how they grew. Now, honestly, we've grown as an organization in the first 2 years.
Yeah, and you can also see the progression in our broadcasting too. I think if you go back and you watch like a season 1 broadcast versus a season 2, um, you know, the camera's obviously a lot different. I think some of the footage is a little bit better, and overall, we hope going into season 3 we get even better going into that.
Yeah, that's right. It's we've learned it's a lot of on the job training, and so it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, it's I watch some of those sometimes. I watch some of the highlight packages sometimes, and I was like, man, what were we doing?
Yeah.
And I'm sure 5 years from now, I'll say the same thing about this episode tonight.
Yeah. It's always weird too, like for me, like to go back and listen, and then it's like, oh, that's me talking. I mean, I know
Yeah,
like when I hear myself though, I'm pretty monotone too, and it's just
yeah,
like in my head it feels differently, but then I hear it, I'm like, no, it's always the same.
yeah. No, that's so
Yeah.
funny. The couple times now, my kids flip through YouTube and they see my picture on the thumbnail or whatever. They're like, "Oh, that's Daddy," and I'm like, "Yeah." Unfortunately, I got a face for radio, but every now and then it pops up on YouTube, which is really cool. Now more and more so as we get more shows, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about our YouTube channel, we're also going back and tomorrow, Saturdays, 1 p.m., we are doing amateur night during the day with some Penguins baseball, not basketball this year, our first time doing baseball. We had some mix-ups with the team names, and now I've got to slip
Yeah,
up with the sport, so it
yeah.
all evens out.
We'll edit it
Um,
in post.
yeah.
Uh, no, I'm really excited for this one. Playing the Bandits. One, I really enjoyed doing the first game with you. I hope the viewers did as well. There are some surprises in there. I think people wonder whenever you're doing a rec league, like how serious is it? But we had home runs, we had double plays. You know what I mean? We had really clean baseball. It was really, I think, a better product than maybe some people thought watching, and I think that continues. This week, as we take on the Bandits going into this game are also 1-0. So we have two undefeated teams in an early season clash up. They have a pitcher named Matt Meyer, who started for them and won that game. He's a new pitcher. What we heard is that he played Division I college recently, and is now post that career, a couple of years past that career, obviously, because you have to be 25 to play in this league. And so he's a player to watch for the Bandits. And I'm just going to say it selfishly, player to watch for the Penguins. I finally am available on the roster. Pitcher might come out of the bullpen. Who knows? But besides that, we're again going with kind of a other side. We also have a bunch of young pitchers that are kind of getting some time. We saw them kind of settle in before the veterans came in and clamped that game down last week. As well as, obviously Derek White, who hit that monster, or I'm sorry, Steve Stunda, who had that monster home run, as well as Derek White, our DH, who's a multi-time All-Star. So it's going to be a fun game, a good early season matchup for the Penguins to kind of see where they are.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. First time for me ever being, calling a baseball game, so that was cool to do. And overall for it being, amateur night, I think the footage was pretty good. We could keep track of everything going pretty well. We also saw a couple of attempts at stealing home. That's not something you see every time in a baseball game.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, that league is. And so you get kind of the mix, MLB, if you watch MLB, is pretty clean, like we talked about on the broadcast. It's the worst baseball players in the major leagues get over 92% of plays correct. You don't get that, but you still get pretty high talent, right? Guys that played in the minor leagues, guys that played in college, and then guys like me who played in high school at a high level, all playing together. So you get a good mix. One of the things I'll say is the Bandits, the team that they beat is the Brewers, who are a new expansion team. They won that game 21-3. So they are they're a force, and so it'll be interesting to see how that game goes. The Penguins on their quest to make the playoffs without going through the play-in for the first time ever, much like the Instigators, like we said. They got to be competitive against teams like this. So we'll see if they are tomorrow at 1 p.m. So tune in on our YouTube and on our Twitch to check that out as Jake and I call that game.
Yeah, it'll be lots of fun. I don't know. One of the cool things, I learned from that is the batting, in the league is a little bit different than traditional. You can have more than 9 batters with your team.
Yeah, and none of them have to play the field. So if you have a team of 19 guys, you could have 10 batters and 9 fielders, and they can all be different people, which is really cool, right? Because guys are playing for fun, right? So they want to do the things that they like to do and are good at. For instance, I'm not a great batter. I don't like batting. I'll do it when I have to, but I don't have to in this league. Someone else can bat no matter where I'm playing. You also get pinch runners automatically for the pitcher and the catcher. So that means we have good base runners running pretty often as well. So it's a good set of kind of unique rules, kind of like the ABA, right? Rules that are supposed to make the game more exciting, more lively, but also just allow the players to have more fun and prevent injuries. 16 games over, I think we play April through August, is a long time for guys that aren't, playing professionally, frankly. And so injuries pop up and things like that, especially early in the season when a lot of guys are coming back into baseball for the first time ever. And so we want to protect them. Well, first time in a long time. We want to protect them from injuries. And so those are ways to do it, but it also puts out a better product.
Yeah, lots of fun. And if going off of that, 21 runs is a lot. That's more like a football score there.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever scored 21 runs on the Penguin side?
No, the Penguins' record for most runs in a game is 16, though, which is pretty high.
That is,
we won that game, and we won that game. It was ironically against the Bandits. We won that game 16-14 2 years ago. So it was a opposite of a pitching duel. I don't know what we call that, a hitter's market, I guess. But yeah, we scored 16 runs. Our team has been known to score a lot of runs when we need to, but never 21. That's crazy. The most runs I think I've ever scored in a baseball game ever was in Little League. We beat a team 32-3,
wow.
which was pretty bad. So most of that came from walks, though. That team didn't have very good pitching. But yeah, 21 in this league is insane. You will see scores. We talked about this a while ago. You see higher scores in this league than you would in a typical major league game, but 21 is way out of the ordinary.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's got to be some kind of mercy rule on that 31 to 3 though. Especially in Little League now.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. There
Yeah.
is. There's 10 runs after 7. That game got called after 7 innings, but it's 20 runs after 5 innings, and so they apparently scored. They never got over 20 because it's 21-3. I've never heard of a team getting 20 run ruled, but yeah, we do have a 10 after 7, and that got kicked in for that game. So, but to score 21 runs in 7 innings is even more crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, not directly related, but this past weekend it was my birthday weekend. I went out to the Rays game. It was the first baseball game I've been to in quite some time,
Yeah,
but it was pretty fun. They got Steinbrenner Field for
yeah,
this season, obviously with everything going on with Tropicana. But it was like it was cool, but it was also like weird because it's like, not their home stadium. It's a Yankees
right,
stadium,
right. It's
but
their spring training stadium.
yeah, but it's all rebranded, so it's like they've got Ray stuff covering up where the Yankees stuff should
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
And then like even like I got a drink there, and it's literally a cup and it says Tropicana Field. It's literally like everything's still branded how it would have been,
Oh, that's
but
so funny.
it was so odd too. It was against the Marlins, so two Florida teams, not, I guess, not the greatest teams, but
Uh huh.
it was kind of empty-ish, which was surprising to me. It was, because it's a smaller stadium, maybe
Yeah.
about halfway full. And the
Mm,
like the 50-50 raffle, like, that's one of the things you go to a game,
sure.
you always hear about. I think it got up to $5,000 at the end.
That's crazy. I was at. It's funny you say that. I'm a season ticket holder here for the Fishers Fuel, or the Indy Fuel here in Fishers, which is they're in the ECHL, which is like double A for the NHL. And their 50-50 raffle, they just moved facilities as well. And it's funny. I always laugh at what you were saying. Their 50-50 raffle sign still says to go to the lobby of the Farmers Bank Coliseum, which is not where they play anymore.
Yeah.
To collect your prize. But anyway, their raffles typically get $4,000 to $5,000. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I saw that. I felt like that was rather low for a professional team.
Yeah. No, that's super low. What are they doing with Tropicana, by the way? Are they going to fix it, or are they building a new stadium?
I don't think it has been officially decided yet. I think a lot of it is going to eventually fall onto politics.
Yeah, makes
Depending
sense.
on how the funding's going to go with that. Obviously there's push for Tropicana. I've also heard a lot of pitches recently for a team to be in Orlando. I don't know if that
Hmm.
necessarily moves. They would move
Yeah,
Tampa to Orlando then. But I know that's also been the government, like the city, and Orlando's really trying to push for a baseball team there too.
yeah. Orlando's a city that I always thought would do better in sports than it does. Like the Magic do fine there, but they really don't get a whole lot of. They've done some spring football, and that's about it, really. Um, I
Yeah,
don't think they've had any other traditional teams, have they? Or any of the big four? I don't think so.
don't think so. I drive like right past the Kia Center, like where the Magic play. Anytime you
Yeah,
go through Orlando, like I drive, it's right off the highway.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we got, the Pro Bowl they do in Orlando, but
sure.
it's not like they really have any of the major sports other than the Magic. And then you've
Yeah,
got, college sports out there
sure.
too.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. It's Indiana here just passed during their legislative session, not to talk about politics, but this is a big part of sports. Commission to try to lure the Bears to northwestern Indiana because they're having all those issues with Chicago and where to build.
Mhm.
So that's one of two big things that they did during the legislature is they made a commission to find a site like on just this side of the border of Illinois to put the Bears if the Bears are interested, as well as they're building an MLS stadium in Indianapolis, which has been hugely controversial because we have a USL team here, the Indy 11, who financially are doing quite well that want to pursue the MLS. And then they had a deal for a stadium, and then the mayor of Indianapolis worked directly with MLS, and now is building like Indianapolis's own stadium separate of the 11. So it's been a huge mess here. But Stadium situations are crazy. You never know what's going to happen until one's built and someone's playing in it.
Yeah, yeah, no, you talk about that in Jacksonville. You've got the Jaguars. That's another one that's been in the news. I believe they are going to be renovating that area, and eventually be getting a updated stadium there. But it's going to put them out of Jacksonville while they're renovating, I think, for 2 years. So that's
Oh,
another thing. Um,
so do they know they're going to play yet?
They don't. So that's one of the things that's been discussed here locally. Daytona, the racetrack, has
Yeah,
been thrown out there as an option. Is
that would
they
be
will
that would be a
play.
unique environment.
Yeah, it would be crazy. I think logistically it doesn't make a ton of sense if they're trying
Yeah,
to play like a full season on
yeah,
that, because there are so many events that happen at Daytona.
yeah.
Not just they have races there, but they have music festivals, car
Yeah.
shows, and just a bunch of stuff. But I've also heard that, like the Pro Bowl Stadium in Orlando, the Camping World Stadium, that's another
Sure.
option. And then even like Gainesville has been thrown out
Mhm.
there for them to play, where the
That'd
Florida
be really
Gators
cool.
play.
Yeah, where the Gators play. Yeah, I've actually that's the only college football stadium I've ever been to is the one in Gainesville.
Oh,
I went
really?
there. Yeah, I went there my senior year or my junior year of high school or college. I mean, my junior year of college. We went there for Tim Tebow's senior year. Watched them play against Troy because that was the only game we could afford to go to.
Yeah.
It's a really nice stadium though.
Yeah, no, I have not been out there. That's one of the places I want to visit. Now that I'm here in Florida.
Mhm.
The only college football stadium I've been to was Syracuse, the Dome.
Sure. Yeah, which I imagine is a super unique environment too. You don't have a whole lot of college domes. It's kind of to me like going to Boise State and seeing the blue field a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, the Dome is crazy too because, it's a multi-sport venue.
Yeah.
So it's the football stadium, it's the lacrosse stadium, and it's the
Hmm.
basketball stadium. So it's literally like they can have a football game and then transition that into the basketball court, into the lacrosse stadium.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And it's also crazy because of the capacity that it can fit, because it's a football stadium that'll host basketball games.
No, that's crazy. Yeah. It's kind of like I watched getting back to baseball a little bit. The Bananas last weekend
Hmm.
played down there in Miami, I think,
Yeah.
where the Dolphins played in front of 70,000 people to play baseball, which is crazy to me. So that's really cool. Those types of events are really cool. I always thought the NBA should do kind of like the Winter Classic, do like an outdoor series like early in the year or late in the year, and like the South. Like imagine like the Suns or like the Heat hosting an outdoor basketball game. That'd be really fun to watch. I'd go to that, no problem.
Yeah, yeah, that would be really cool. I know, like, maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, something like that. They did a college basketball series on like some of the
On
the
the
Navy
battleship and
ships.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
really cool.
that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. So do something like that. Yeah. Well, speaking of baseball, let's check in with our Oakland Ballers team, the
Yeah.
second franchise owned. I have good news and bad news for folks since we last checked in with them. They've lost two, but they've won 7 of their last 10. But here's what's really sad. Apparently, the Paddleheads have been beating us. We lost two out of 3 to the Paddleheads over the last week, and then we jump back in it. Right now, actually, we're playing the Ogden Raptors. It's tied 1-1 in the ninth, or in the fourth, I mean. But the one thing that's sad to me personally is that they beat, what is it, 4 or 5 times in a row, my Glacier Range Riders. Like, look, I'm rooting for our team or whatever, but that's unacceptable. That's all I gotta say. And then I got to look up this rule. I didn't see it, but apparently the game on June 4th, they won in a KO round. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is? I'm gonna
I
look
do
this up.
not. Yeah, I've definitely got to figure that out.
But they're still mid-table, which is good. But 7 of the last 10 dropped this series, but obviously won 5 in a row against Missoula, or I mean the Glacier Range Riders, which is still a cool name. I'm looking up this KO round rule because I'm not sure what it is. Um, oh, okay. So instead of extra innings, they do a home run shootout in the Pioneer League. So they said so there's no extra innings in the Pioneer League, but if a game's tied in extra innings, fans get to watch a sudden death home run contest to settle the score. So the visiting team designates a hitter for the first round, who gets 2 minutes to hit as many home runs as he can, and then the home team gets the same opportunity. And if it's tied, they play with different hitters until a winner is declared. So apparently, when I looked at this game, Cam Buford beat Kingston Liniac 5-0 in the KO round. So we hit 5 home runs. They didn't hit any, and they won. So what do you think about that rule?
That's pretty awesome. I haven't heard of that before, but that's really cool. I think, basically a home run derby anytime you go into extra innings.
Yeah, I think it's so cool. I love that. It's controversial, but in MLB, I like the ghost runner they put on second base in extra innings. I think it added a lot of strategy to extra innings. I think it made games go faster, but I like this better. Designated hitter go in, hit home runs. That's what people come to baseball games to see. So let's see it. So that's cool. But congratulations to Cam Buford for winning that knockout round. As far as I can tell, that's the only one this season that we've had. So, demonstrate the power.
Yeah, that's such a unique rule. I also think like if that were to be implemented in the MLB, like how differently it would also like change the team's approaches too. Like,
Yeah,
obviously teams like the Yankees, I feel like would have a little bit of an upper hand in those kind of
right.
situations.
No, absolutely. But at the same time, teams, sometimes build their home run hitters to their park. And so home teams you would think would have an even more advantage, right? Like the Yankees who have more power lefties because they're short porch and right. Or you look at like Camden Yards where they just extended left field even further out, right? You see some of those. So it just brings that stadium back into play as well. So it's or the Green Monster in Boston. So that's a really cool rule. I like it. I like even more that we won. So is your pitcher tossing for you in the home? No. So they use the bullpen. That's a really good question. They use the batting practice pitcher. So it's someone who's not even a player on the team throwing a home run, giving up home run balls. So that's cool. Saves injuries too, right? You don't have pitchers that are pitching into extra innings, so it helps a lot.
Yeah, you also don't have to worry about them running up their ERA either.
Yeah. Speaking of weird sports, I saw one the other day. It's kind of like baseball, but it's played inside. Oh, a pitching machine would be interesting. I like that idea. Set it to like 85 miles an hour down the middle and just see what happens. Get rid of yeah, that's a good idea too. Use a pitching machine. But I saw a form of baseball the other day that's played inside, and they put a ramp in front of home plate, and the ball is like maybe like this big, and the pitcher and the batter are on the same team, and all the fielders are on the other team. And the pitcher rolls the ball up the ramp from the pitcher's mound, and then the guy hits it coming up off the ramp. It was the weirdest, again, on YouTube. I see the weirdest things on YouTube, but like another instance where the pitcher and batter are working together, which I think is a unique take on baseball that adds a completely different element.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so make sure you check out the Ballers and watch their games. You can stream them all. I think the league has a streaming service that you can use to watch all their games. I have a subscription, but I haven't watched yet. So I haven't been able to, but make sure you get a chance to watch the Ballers. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if they've published any of their 50-50 raffles. That's something we'll have to look into in the future and see how they compare.
See how the
that.
Ballers do 50-50 raffles.
Yeah.
That'd be really interesting to compare them to like. This is why we need. We should talk about the USL later, but this is why we need promotion relegation in baseball, right? Imagine if the Ballers did so well, they moved up, and that Las Vegas A's moved down. Mm-hmm. That'd be great. Or like the Tampa. By the way, I will tell you, here's my thought on the Tampa Bay situation. I think they should get a new stadium in Montreal. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Move the team to Montreal, people in the AL East, make them the Expos.
Yeah, I mean, logistically, that would make more sense.
right? I'm just trying to see if there's anything on the Oakland Ballers 50-50 raffles, if they posted anything. I don't see anything so far. Yikes, the Ballers had 19 hits against the Glacier Range Riders in one game.
Wow.
That's bad.
Good for the Ballers, though.
No, that's great for the Ballers. And I'm a Ballers fan. Don't get me wrong. I want the
Yeah.
Ballers to win the games. The name just, it hurts my heart to see that, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I think I'm gonna be the same way. In the games against the Stealth too.
No, I get that.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's a sweet name. It matches your car. Um, but you're a Penguins fan, so I get it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, talking about that, it's episode 93. My car is a 93, and it is now officially a Florida resident. I finally got the plate switched over.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Are you going to upgrade the console system in it anytime soon? You know, we see all these new. We're about to hit the next generation of consoles. Yours is getting older. You got a PS1 in there, which I respect. Have you thought about going to a PS2?
It does have the PS2.
Oh, does it?
And it does. And actually, give me a second here. This is so dumb, but I have something for my other car that eventually I'm gonna be putting in.
Oh,
And
I got to see that.
it's been sitting in my room for quite some time.
All right.
So give
We
me
should. I'm going to try to guess what it is while you're doing it. I'm
yeah.
going to guess it's like a. I'm going to go with a GameCube. I feel like a GameCube is the perfect like car console. Like if you're looking at like old school consoles. So that's what I'm gonna guess. What is it?
It is
Oh my,
another PS2. It is like the whole drop down system.
oh my gosh, that's amazing for like
Yeah.
vans.
Yeah. So it has been
Where did
sitting,
you find that?
waiting to be installed.
Is that like an eBay purchase?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's dope
Yeah,
though.
definitely.
Yeah, my wife used to have one of those minivans with the drop down like DVD player, where you put the DVD
Yeah.
in the front and then the kids could watch.
Yeah, so
Might
that's
get an Atari in there, which would be dope too. They brought those back here recently.
yeah, that's what this is. It's one of those DVD players that drops down. So it drops
Yeah,
down and then in front of the DVD player, it's a slim PS2. Actually, it's like smaller than a slim PS2 and it pops down and then you can put the game in.
that's
And it
amazing.
comes with like some wireless controllers and some headphones.
That's cool. What's your other car that you're putting it in?
I've got a Mazda 3 hatch right now.
Okay,
So
yeah, that'll be
yeah,
fun.
I use that for like deliveries and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah. That's
that'll be
dope.
that'll be eventually in there. The only thing is, I'm sure it'll void some warranties, so that's why it has not been put in yet.
For sure it will avoid some
Yeah.
warranty. So I told you last week I wanted to talk about this. It's baseball adjacent. Major League Cricket yesterday started in the United States. Third season, for those of you that don't watch. Epic matchup last night. I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of it. You guys should watch this. It's all on Willow TV. Some of it's on YouTube as well, so you can watch it. But they play T20, which for those of you that aren't like cricket on like aficionados, that means that they play 20 overs a side, which is 120 pitches. So you get 120 pitches to score whatever you can with, which is like the most popular form of cricket in the world because it's a lot quicker, right? Most games are 2 to 3 hours versus like 1 to 2 days that regular cricket is. But the matchup, listen to these team names: the San Francisco Unicorns versus the Washington Freedom. The Seattle Orcas play, I think, tomorrow. So these are great team names. I'm an LA Knight Riders fan. My car is named Kit, so like I got to be a Knight Riders fan. But anyway, I got to shout out Finn Allen, the second batter so he started the game because two batters started the game for the San Francisco Unicorns. This dude scored 151 runs in this game, which is astronomical. Like some players like never score 100. There were some guys in this game that got like less than 10 runs. This guy scored 151 runs off of 551 balls. They shattered the record for Major League Cricket for most runs scored in a game. They scored 249 runs, 269 runs. And he hit 19 sixes, which are like cricket home runs. in this game, which is a world record for T20. So it was one of the most exciting games. Great start to the season, third season. It runs basically until mid-July, I think. But they're playing in the Alameda County Coliseum where Oakland played the Athletics, and so they took over this baseball stadium, made it a cricket stadium. But it was a fantastic game to watch. So, Jake, have you ever watched cricket before?
I have not, honestly. I do know, I remember like they did that fan controlled thing or tried to do that fan controlled
With
thing the
minor
one
league
time.
cricket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
those are the Xperia Giants.
I think so. But I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Yeah, I just got into it recently. I'm a big fan. If you're a baseball fan, you probably watch John Boy Media, who's like a huge baseball. In fact, these guys are crazy. They started, basically doing what we're doing. They started in 2017, but without owning pro teams, and they just signed a deal with Major League Baseball to be like the partners that are doing like youth fan outreach because their channel's grown so much, and they do like warehouse games and all kinds of stuff. They're fun to watch. If you like them, if you like that kind of stuff, check them out. But anyway, they got into it during the pandemic because baseball wasn't going on in the United States. So they watched cricket, which is an outdoor sport where people are much more spread out, and like learned a lot about it. So it got me into it. But it's a fun sport to watch. It's easier to learn than I think people realize. And honestly, it's going to be something up and coming, I think, in the United States. This is the third year of Major League Cricket, fourth year of minor league cricket. And Major League Cricket, they have a rule that if you start 11 players in cricket, 5 of them have to be American players in the game to like help grow the sport here in the United States, but 6 for every team can be international players. And there are a ton of big hitters in the international world that played in like the Indian Premier League, which is the top league in the world, that are now playing here in the United States as well. So it's really good quality cricket. I think it's a sport that's going to blow up. They have, I think, 8 teams right now, but I think it's going to continue to grow. So check it out. It's a lot of fun. The rules are easy to learn. In fact, I think John Boy even did a rule thing. It's like cricket rules explained for baseball players, which is a really interesting video to learn cricket.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit more professional than our ABA rule video, I'm sure.
Honestly, no. It's like a guy at a whiteboard drawing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not at all. Our video is pretty good. Don't doubt yourself. But it's really cool because then he'll take like the New York Yankees lineup because they're a Yankees channel, and he'll like say, okay, if you're doing batting for cricket, because the batting lineup works differently in cricket than it does in baseball, this is where you put Yankees hitters, and actually it works out really well and things like that. Except that like your bottom, 4 or 5, bottom 4 or 5 are all pitchers, right? Because they gotta be in the lineup. There's no DH in cricket, but you only bat once, so once you're out, you're done. But anyway, a really fun game. Check it out. Really hard hitting. Like I said, I think there was something like 29 home runs hit in that game last night between the two teams, and really high scoring. And if you think baseball is boring and not moving fast enough, T20 cricket I think is a good alternative because there's always something happening on every pitch because every pitch counts.
Yeah, I could be mistaken, but I feel like what is the ball? The ball can break in cricket, right? I feel like I've seen that before.
Yeah, it's harder than a baseball, which surprised me because cricketers catch the ball without a glove, right? Except for like the guy that's kind of the wicket keeper, which is like the catcher. He wears gloves because he's so close. Rest of the players are wearing, nothing. Catching this ball that looks like a baseball but is much harder. But yeah, because of that and because of the bat, sometimes the ball can break. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that like I said, I haven't watched much cricket, but I know I seen that in like the clips I've watched, and I always thought that was so odd because it's like, obviously you don't see the ball exploding in baseball. You see the bat sometime, and that's always dangerous.
Yeah. No, that's true. I've seen, sometimes someone will hit a baseball and the cover will rip a little bit and you'll see it kind of flutter, but it doesn't like explode when it cracks like a cricket ball might. Although that's pretty rare. But yeah, it does happen. It's crazy. Although I don't know if you've ever seen the picture of video of Randy Johnson exploding a bird with a baseball.
Yeah,
That's one of the craziest videos I've ever seen too.
Yeah, that is nuts. Like just the timing for that all to line up like that is it's a near zero probability there.
Yeah, and it explodes. If you haven't watched that video, you haven't lived, honestly, because I think that video is everywhere, but it's amazing. Check it out. But yeah, he just throws that pitch, and Randy Johnson, one of the fastest pitchers of all time, hits this bird at like 103 miles an hour from 10 feet away with a baseball.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not advocating any of the animal stuff there, but I think Fabio.
After all, I love birds.
Yeah, yeah. Fabio has a video where he does that with his face too.
Yep,
on a roller coaster. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the instigators. I have some news I can pop out. So we are we just finalized it this week. So flyers and everything will start next week. June 12th, 1 to 3, or July 12th, 1 to 3 will be our next tryout. Our second of maybe 3 tryouts. But anyway, so that's coming up. We still have spots on our roster. I think we technically have like 9 guys we're planning on signing, and you'll start to see some of that come out maybe the next week or so of who those players are. But still, our roster carries, you can carry 12 on a game day. We want to carry maybe 14 or 15 total, just as players miss or get injured and things like that. One of the things we talked about Monday night, we had a team meeting, and one of the things we talked about is, and you and I have talked about that on this show as well, so there's going to be a lot less team transition this year. Basically, the roster we have in August is the roster we're going to have, barring some obvious need to pick somebody up. So we won't be really bringing in players after the fact. So if players want to play for us, they got to make these tryouts. Last year, one of our highest tryout had 32 people, I think, at it. We want to break that with this tryout because I am a full believer that we get the best talent by bringing in all the talent and making them compete with each other and see, what shakes out, right? Pressure creates diamonds, and we want diamonds on this team. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun on July 12th. If you are a fan voter and you live in the area, you can come to the tryout and check it out and give your opinions. It'll be we'll announce the location, but we're not doing it at Best Choice. We're doing it at a high school nearby. So it'll be a lot of fun. But I'm excited for that. So that's the first kind of next big piece of news. And then player signings we talked about last week. Probably in the next week or so, we'll start talking about that as well. So lots of big stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to that. That's a month away now at this point. But the tryouts, that's one thing I have not made it out to any of the tryouts. That's definitely on my list eventually to make it out to one of the tryouts. But yeah, no, I think anytime we have tryout, we want to have as many people there. Like you said, the bigger the player pool, the bigger the talent pool. So we want to have the very best we can on the team. And like we said, we're adamant this year that we want to have that from the beginning of the season through the end of the season. We want to have that roster kind of solidified, and have the team chemistry build throughout the season. We were able to get it through the off season last year and kind of carry it through the beginning of the season. Then we had a little bit of fluctuation in the roster, and it took us a while to get that chemistry back.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're gonna, like you said, we're committed this year to what we have is what we have, barring injuries or players having to leave, and we have a need, right? And so we'll talk about how we make that decision as we get closer to the season, because I think we got some really cool things to share about that we're planning as well, where we're going to want your input as fan voters. So make sure that if you're not a fan voter, you become one soon, because those questions at some point will start coming to fan voters. We'll talk more about that probably in August or September as we get closer to the season.
Yeah, and we're definitely, we're planning stuff out a lot further, each off season, a lot further ahead of time. We're in June and we're already talking about, getting our roster set, trying to get things squared away for October at this point. We still got a few months out, but the best we can prepare obviously is by being, ahead on that every time.
Yeah. The other thing I will tease, I'm not going to announce as much, but I'll tease, is that Knight says, by the way, he's a fan voter. He is. He's been one since the beginning. We appreciate him. Always love his input. Love
Absolutely.
everybody's input. That's the point of this. And we're going to have all kinds of ideas on how to further that. But the thing I'm going to tease is that I have booked our first 2 games of the season. And I will tell you, November 1st and 2nd, we're playing 2 games back to back. Only the third time in Instigator's history we've done this. The first time was playoff game. Last year we played in Ohio, and then we played in Nashville the next day. And then this time it is a road trip as well. 2 games back to back. I'm not going to say who it is yet. So that'll be the tease. But our first 2 games, you can book them November 1st and 2nd, are both away games. And we'll have more details on the roster. Or on the schedule. I'm sorry. I'm hoping by the end of the month we'll have a full roster or a full schedule. Geez. We won't have a full roster, but we'll have a full schedule at least. And so excited for that. 20 games this year. So we'll see how it goes. I think we'll play a lot of games against Indiana teams this year, which will be good. I'm anticipating 10 to 12 of our games will be against teams in Indiana. So we'll see how that goes. But November 1st and 2nd, the start of the Instigators' 3rd season.
Yeah, that's fun. That's right after Halloween. Maybe we'll have to show up in some costumes or something for that opening game.
Yeah, I'll do a sideline reporter in a Teletubby costume or something.
Yeah.
A Chucky costume. What did you do as for Halloween last year, Jake?
For like the last 3 years, I've done Johnny Depp.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I was Chucky, the doll last year. I got I got an electric rickshaw that I ride around the neighborhood, and so you put a Chucky costume on and ride that around.
Yeah.
Everyone loved it. So, but yeah, so that's Instigators updates. Like I said, look out for those roster signings coming soon. Try out July 12th. We're going to try to record it as well and put it up on the Patreon for fan voters to see that as well and give us input on what they saw. But if you're in the area, come hang out. What's a Teletubby? Night.
Yeah.
Night. Teletubby was a popular children's show about these were they aliens? I want to hear you explain it. That's fair. The Teletubbies were like these aliens, I imagine, on a post-apocalyptic world in which the sun is a baby. And they get into hijinks and watch TV off each other's bellies. That's what a Teletubby is. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, no, it's always interesting, I feel like, to see like the real pictures of them shooting that, just like the optical illusions with the actual sizes of those things.
Yeah. Great summary.
Yeah.
No, I did. I used to have a Teletubby costume, a purple one. I bought it. My friend used to have, when I lived in LA, her birthday was like 2 weeks before Halloween. And so she'd always throw a Halloween/birthday party, but she would do it on her birthday. And so I'd walk through like South Central LA in the middle of October in a Teletubby costume to her birthday party. And no one batted an eye. They was like, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. I think the most ridiculous costume I've done was probably like Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I shaved it, so I just had the mustache, and then I had a bald cap I wore for that too. Yeah.
That's funny.
I could tease something too, I guess. It's it's still a work in progress, but I don't think that race sponsorship, is going to be the last one of the off season for the Instigators. I think next month we will have some kind of announcements going along with that.
Yeah.
But I did see, actually, I'll have to find it and share it like in the Discord or something. One of the other guys that was on the hood of the car for Brayton Laster from the other week, obviously the car had some mechanical issues. It didn't get to run.
Yeah.
But the car that had our logo on there, as well as the other logos, somebody did make it in trading paints. So that's like you can download the iRacing schemes, and I'll have to see if I can figure out exactly who it was and share it. But if you're in iRacing, I think you can download that and then race with the instigators on your car now.
Heck, send me the link. I'm definitely going to do that. I have iRacing. We talked about this last time. And so I'm going to download it. I'll race the Instigators car. You know what I mean? That'd be great.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of sim racing team names for us in case we ever do this. This is what I came up with. Tell me what you think about this. This is the best one, I think. All right. I came with Apex Racing Syndicate Network, which like is ARSN. So we just pronounce it arson.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So that's what I came up with. If you have ideas, folks in the chat or on the Discord, like send us your like best Apex Racing sim team names. Maybe someday we'll get it going. But even if we don't, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've always had like a couple, in my mind, it wasn't necessarily like, while I was part of Apex, but just like in general, I've always thought it would be cool to have a race team, kind of led by the fans. So all of mine were like fan related. So I've got, and then racing costs a lot of money too. So they had that in it too. So one of them was like, finish line funding. So basically like, hey, you gotta get us to the finish line by having them fund us. And then, man, I think maybe it was fan-led racing or something like that. But I know finish line funding was one for sure. I had like a little logo with like a checkered flag and stuff on that.
Yeah. I whenever I do, I always do make my own team on Formula One, the racing game, and it's always Frostbite with BYTE. To kind of give it that, cool cyberpunky sound. Flintstone Racing.
Oh yeah,
would be a good one. I like that a lot. I watched, I don't know if you know this, Discovery Channel now has a TV show of the Red Bull Soapbox Derby. And one of the teams last week had a Flintstones inspired soapbox derby. That was really cool. So, but yeah, Frostbite is my go-to for my racing team name, because I'm Frosty. It's good. I like it.
Yeah. And I see I missed this question a little bit earlier. What is Aqua Teen Hunger Force? So you explained Teletubbies. I'll explain this. It'll be a great explanation, just as the Teletubbies was. So basically, it was an Adult Swim show. It ran for a while, and it's I think he's Italian guy in New Jersey. He lives next door. His name is Carl. He's got a Dodge Stealth that says Too Wicked, like mine. But he lives next door to these three anthropomorphic characters, and it's a milkshake, a meatball, and a box of French fries, and they just do dumb stuff, and that's basically the show.
No, that's pretty much it. Yeah, you know that.
Yeah.
That's so funny. No, you're still. People should you should put a picture up sometime. I'm sure you have before, but we should do it again because that thing is wicked. It's awesome. So
yeah. If you Google search Too Wicked, my car comes up. Like that's
Does it really?
It's that funny. Yeah. I've had people post it and stuff, but I've got like this little picture. I'll pull it out for next show. But I printed out like 250 postcards with me posing like with that Carl costume and my car.
That's amazing.
Like for a car show. So I was just handing them out to people. But I have it like in my office at work too. But it's hidden so people don't really see it. And then occasionally people will see that and they'll ask me questions. They'll be like, what exactly is that?
Yeah.
It's so always fun. a good conversation starter. That and then I have a basketball hoop in my office with the Instigators logo on it.
Nice.
It fell and it may have scratched up the wall, so I got to figure out how to cover that up a little bit.
Well, put the hoop back up with a scratch.
Yeah, I've got to get something stronger though. I had like the 3M stuff and it's not holding.
You're dunking too hard.
Yeah. So I got that, and then I've got my grill certificate there too. So people get all sorts of confused when they come into my office. And, they're like, "This is Maserati."
That's so funny. No, that is awesome. Well, I want to end the show teasing our next show. semi-announcing it. We haven't set a date yet, but coming soon. I'm going to call it Rock and Roller Rewatch is the name of the show. And we are going to be rewatching live on Twitch and YouTube, unless we get hit with copyrights. That's going to be Twitch, Patreon, or just Patreon. But it'll be free for everybody. The 1980s classic television show Roller Games, which is the best way. If you haven't watched Roller Games, don't go watch it because you're going to watch it with us. But the way it works is basically it is roller derby. That is where the outcomes are predetermined. And it's basically wrestling characters with like all the 80s flash you can think of. It's a really fun show. I think it lasted only like 13 episodes. In fact, I'm watching the American Gladiators. We were just talking about this, the docu-series on it. And these two shows were like up against each other when that show was coming out, when American Gladiators were coming out, as to which one of these would be the best television show of all time. Gladiators clearly won, but Roller Games is great. So we're going to do the Rock and Roller rewatch. Jake and I, and we're going to try to get some special guests in, maybe some of the basketball players and stuff, just to rewatch this with us, have fun. We're going to do our Mystery Science Theater 3K thing with it. And so I can't wait for it. Jake, how are you feeling about roller derby and pro wrestling mixed together?
Yeah, it's awesome. I think it's gonna be great. Obviously I'm a huge fan of like, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 type of stuff. The other show I'll throw out, it's not really a show, I guess it was like kind of a bootleg thing back in the day, was TV Carnage.
Oh yeah.
So like those type of things, I love those type of things, and I feel like this is right up that alley. Watching some 80s programs and roller derby mixed with the professional wrestling is just a great idea.
Yeah, so that's going to be coming soon sometime this summer. We'll be announcing dates and times for that and cadence and all of that. It's only 13 episodes, so it won't be super long. But if people like that, we can find other like bizarre sports content and stuff like that to do. But and if people really like roller derby, maybe that's something that we talk more about as well. But anyway, so that's coming soon, and I'm excited for it. But before that, obviously, 1:00 tomorrow, amateur night in the day. Looks like Jake's having issues with his headset. It's not working. All right. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to end the show. Jake, thanks for being on. Good work today. Until next time, everyone, be great. Instigate. Check us out. 1 p.m. tomorrow. Bandits versus the Penguins, game 2 for amateur night. Hang out with us, and we'll see you then.